Well, to our next story, we mentioned, of course, about Missoula, Montana being a fare-free transit city. And one of our members of the Transit Equity Network has upheld transit policy to keep riders from not paying a fare in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is now the largest city in the country with the fare-free policy. Joining us now is Mariel León Lazcano. Mariel was raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the place where she calls home. Attending UNM, she plans to receive a bachelor's in secondary education and pursue a master's in education. Mariel is the project manager for the Transit Rider Project with Together for Brothers and has participated in previous nonprofit organizations such as Enlace Comentario, where she has gained experience and she hopes to provide to the community. Mariel, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I apologize for any noise. Let me know if I should move on over to another area.
Oh, no, you're absolutely fine. So tell us about Together for Brothers and how, because there's also a portion of it called the Albuquerque Transit Riders Union. So tell us how all of that came about.
Yes, so Together for Brothers is a nonprofit organization based in Albuquerque that focuses on boys and young men of color because of the many lack of resources and the power that they have within their communities to be leaders. The Albuquerque Transit Union came from the fact that from our Zero Fares project and pilot project that was passed, and we were looking for members that were interested in being part and sharing their experiences and thoughts of how transit should be and how it is. So that is how the Albuquerque Transit Writers Union came about. Initially, it wasn't even called that, but thankfully, we were through many steps. We Together for Brothers has been through it, but we are also just looking for it to be more independent and part of the community by looking for core group members who are looking for that leadership role within their community.
Absolutely. So tell us, for those who aren't familiar with Albuquerque, New Mexico, what does the transit network look like?
So for Albuquerque, New Mexico, we recently added a new art line, which runs all through our central road called Central. So it goes from a few center points, such as our Alvarado Transportation Center, close to a few libraries and other necessary needs as well. We have sunbands, which are used for those who may have more difficulty or just disabilities that would require them to have more attentive efforts towards traveling from one area to another. We have also had an ABQ Forward project where the system is being renovated to include different routes. Yes, our buses are also, some are transitioning to cleaner energy, which is something that Together for Brothers sees and is an important part of transit equity. Yes.
Absolutely. So you all have been in this huge fight to keep fares free in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Tell us about some of the issues that you all have faced with that. And I've spoken with Christopher Ramirez, who's a good friend. And they've mentioned that there have been so many fights with city council and so many narratives that have been spread. So tell us about all of those issues.
Yes, absolutely. Some of the narratives that have been spread about just public transportation is that it's dangerous. Obviously, there are hotspots in our city that do recognize that, but we should also take into account that public transportation is something necessary that many need, and it's not a dangerous form of transportation. We are trying to change that narrative to include the stories of many people who are using it to continue go to work, as was mentioned in the previous story, or go to school, such as I use the bus for. And then we are trying to change those hotspots to be safer because it's necessary. Right now, Together for Brothers is at our roundhouse asking our representatives and senators to support the Transit Equity Fund to be able to continue the transit zero fares transit here in Albuquerque, but not just Albuquerque. We also want to include the entire state, such as Los Alamos, Los Cruces, uh, just everywhere. It's house. We want that story to be understood, that transit is a positive and necessary for the community that needs it, and not dangerous for those who just see it as such.
Absolutely. And how does rallying for fare free transit promote transit equity, and especially in a place like Albuquerque?
Being here at the Roundhouse is an act of activism. We also are celebrating Rosa Parks' birthday, so we're taking some of her energy to do this and rally here at the Roundhouse for our right to have clean, free, safe, and accessible public transportation. So that is a form of what we are doing here um, in Albuquerque.
Absolutely. And what can people do to support this effort? And especially like if they don't live in Albuquerque?
Yeah, of course. Even if you are not from Albuquerque, we hold Albuquerque Transit Rider Union meetings through Zoom to be able to share your experience and thoughts about transit and become leaders within our community as well. Allows us to create steps and agendas of how we want to create a safer, accessible, free public transit.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely show it on the next screen. Mariel, thank you so much for joining us. And I wish you all the best of luck in Albuquerque, New Mexico with keeping the system fare free. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Yes, and thank you so much to Together for Brothers for always being a great member. Last year, they went and they did an event for Transit Equity Day to where they did speak to a lot of members of the community of Albuquerque and just kind of get their issues on why fare-free transit is so important to them. Let's take a look at that.
Basically, we want to accomplish better community environment and also make people feel safe, welcome in this bus stops, and also being able to get on the bus. And also we want to keep the zero fares going free and make it possible for all passengers, all people to get on it without any questions, and also make it safer for them as well.
Yeah, the zero fares has been incredible. I mean, it was, I think, like $1.25. I mean, it wasn't that expensive, but it could add up. I mean, if you're riding the bus, 5 days a week, that's $20 that maybe you wouldn't be able to have.
It helps me get around to my doctor's appointments and all because I have stage 3.
It's made it so convenient that I don't have to worry about am I gonna be able to take the bus today, or am I gonna have to ask for a bus fare, or sometimes I don't have it, and it helps a lot.
When the zero bus fares came out, a lot of people didn't believe it. And after they started testing the waters, more and more people started using the public transportation system. So it's been very helpful for people who weren't able to have a job during COVID, and now that they don't have to worry about paying for bus fare every single day back and forth to work and home, going to the grocery store, it's been a lot more accessible.
I think it gives people the opportunity to change their lives if they need to, being able to have a bike to get to work and get a job, maybe riding the bus, getting from place to place, and I think it's important for everybody to have access to it.
I rely heavily on the bus, so every doctor's appointment, prescriptions, Bible studies, going to work, pretty much everything.
Transportation equity means a lot because it's important. That's how our people get around to get to work, to get to school. I think it's important that we definitely support our families, our students, everyone that is in our city. I mean, it's important that we have transportation, that it is accessible to our people.
when I was a freshman in high school, basically in Highland, I used to take 2 buses and I had to get up early in the morning, so I was impacted by this bus system a lot. So I had to like pay for the buses to get around the town. So right now it's free for everybody to get around the town. It's like much better, and also like it helps everybody to be financially stable.
I don't have a car, so I use my bike to commute, and I do use the bus almost every day, I would say. So yeah, I use it a lot.
Well, I know equity means that people are able to get what they want and need. So I guess I would say that everyone who needs to get from their doctor's appointments or to the store is able to get that.
So I saw it firsthand how much we needed more investment in our youth and in our community, so we can have access to different places we needed to go. I have a niece with special needs who needed the bus all the time, so just to see her do her programs and be happy and to go to the program she loves so much.
I think the equity comes when transit users are able to have that independence because they can rely on their transit system.
So people with special needs, they get to do different programming, and that's how she gets to all her programming. So it's good that she has that access now without worrying about how we're going to pay for. We all would chip in for her Sunvan tickets.
I would remind folks that zero fares creates opportunity for everyone in our city.
We as a community gotta change the culture of having violence based around how we take action for certain things. We were locked in our houses for 3 years and no interaction with anybody, and I think people forgot how to be kind and respectful. And as a community, that's not something that's impossible for us to change. It's just something that we need to work on and be consistent with.
Thank you so much for having this event and for helping, for doing this, putting it out there,
We thank you all so much for those words. And if you'd like to join the Albuquerque Transit Riders Union, they meet every second Friday of the month on Zoom. We could put the link in. But if you're also in the city of Albuquerque, they meet at the downtown Alvarado Transit Center as well. It is a brave, safe space, just substance free, and definitely go out and meet many of the advocates out there. I've met many of them. So it's a really wonderful program.